Hello from ABA Annual Meeting 2018 in Chicago, Illinois. I'm Lawrence Coletti.
I'm Koji Fukumura.
Barb Dawson.
And we're on the road with Legal Talk Network. And we're back. We are starting our Day 3 coverage of ABA Annual Meeting, and I have the ABA section of litigation with me. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Well, before we get into a series of questions that I have for you, because I want to learn more about your section, I just want to talk about your bio. Where do you work? What do you do? Why don't we start with Koji?
I'm a partner at the firm of Cooley, LLP. We have about 925 lawyers. I chair the firm's securities litigation practice. I defend the public companies, officers, and directors who are being sued by their shareholders or being investigated by the government.
I'm Barb Dawson. I'm at Snell and Wilmer, a firm that's throughout the West. We have about 450 lawyers across the West and in Washington, D.C. And I work with companies when they have issues with litigation, and I handle a lot of internal investigations. I chair the section litigation, sit on our management team.
Excellent. And then and I'm not sure I asked this, but what positions do you guys occupy within the section of litigation?
I'm currently the chair of the litigation section.
Okay, chair. And then?
I am vice chair.
Vice chair. Okay, perfect. So we got leadership here, which is good because we've got questions. And so let's start with just the basics. How old is the section?
Well, I am the 45th chair of the section of litigation.
45th chair?
Yeah. People are laughing, looking at me like the Donald, but I can assure you a lot of things that we're going to talk about today, a lot of things, initiatives that we've taken, including protecting the rule of law, including protecting immigrant children at the border. It's a different 45, let's just put it that way.
I gotcha.
We have a long history of being a good landing place for anyone who's dealing with resolving disputes, with litigation, or handling trials. And it's really fun to see how the section has evolved over the years because the practice of law has evolved and what's been needed by trial lawyers has changed. And so we focus really hard to make sure we're the right place for people who are looking for resources to do their best in those situations.
Excellent. And how many members do you have under your auspices?
We have around 46,000 members. We are the largest section in the American Bar Association with paid members. And as Barb said, we mentioned 45, but seriously, we have many substantive committees from, antitrust all the way through young lawyers and issues that young lawyers are facing, to securities litigation, to products liability. We have a landing place for most of the litigators in this country. From solo and small firm lawyers all the way to lawyers at the largest law firms in the world. And one of the things that we really take pride in, because we focus on litigators and trial lawyers, is one of the things that I've really tried to focus on this year is really protecting our members, the lawyers, whether it's, advocating for the attorney-client privilege on the one hand, or globally trying to get access to U.S. law firms in other countries. We really sort of pride ourselves in thinking about what lawyers in this country, litigators in this country, trial lawyers in this country need. And that's why that really what separates us from other organizations.
Exactly. And, I think a lot of what we provide, too, is for the very talented litigators and trial lawyers across the country an outlet to do some of the stuff that they went to law school to do in the first place. A lot of times you get into your day-to-day routine of practicing law, and it doesn't maybe give you as much of an opportunity to serve the people who are the most vulnerable among us, or to think really big thoughts about projects and policies that really could help our judicial system. And so one of the things the section does is brings people together who have the passion and the energy around those things. And Koji talked about, our protection of the lawyers. Another thing we really focus on is the protection of our system of justice. We are very passionate about the independence of the judiciary, and we know that we are well suited as people who are the people in the courts all the time to talk about why that's so important and how the U.S. really is so special in having that independent third branch of government. Makes us proud to do that work.
Demographics. So Obviously, there's a lot of different forms of litigation within the practice of law, and so what's the makeup of your section? Then also, what's the tendency in age? Are these younger litigators? Are these older litigators?
The paying members are older litigators, but we have been driving with almost singular focus for the last couple of years to create content and direct it to young lawyers and direct it in ways that they want to receive it. And so, and I know Barb has focused on this, and she can talk about it in a moment. But I mean, demographically, it's really both geographically and demographically, it's the spectrum of the United States. We do, just because there are more lawyers on the East Coast, and if you look at New York, from New York down to Washington D.C., from Boston down to Washington D.C., that's probably 40% of our lawyers. But the rest of them are spread throughout the country.
Koji's exactly right. And, we have found that many of our paying members are people who've been with the section for more than 10, many of them more than 20 years. They've found the value there. And what we think is a great resource for the young lawyers, and why we're thinking, we want to bring them into the fold, is the ability for them to be around those longer-term members who are now leaders in the section, who have, come up through the ranks and understand what it was like to be starting out in a particular area, but also have really good advice for the people who are wanting to walk in those shoes.
And let me just add, for the young lawyers, I mean, being involved in the leadership of the section litigation has changed the way I practice law. It has helped me immensely, not only in networking and literally knowing lawyers from Maine to Key West to San Diego to, Vancouver, Washington, and all points in between, which is great if someone needs a lawyer in San Diego in my town, or if someone needs a lawyer who does what I do. The networking opportunities are amazing, but honestly, the service in the leadership of the section, knowing all of the issues that have arisen that we talk about, that the programs that I see, has really made me a better lawyer overall. So it's a great thing that we try to drive that message down to young lawyers.
And it's really interesting when we have surveyed and received information from our members as to why they've stayed with us and why they really value the section. And we see a lot of recognition for the value of our publications and the content that we push out, daily. And it's really wonderful that people know that they can come to the section for those resources. But beyond that, the people who I think are the true believers are the people who've spent a little bit more of their time, as Koji mentioned, using this as their network. It is amazing to be able to pick up the phone and to talk to anyone that you need across the country and get the information that's really just locally available, that you can't get from the books or from, reading a publication, but from the people who are practicing on the ground. That's a great value, and it's great to have those friendships across the country.
Let's talk about some of those programs, including the Sound Advice.
So we have podcasts, and again, the podcasts are digestible. I think we create them and have driven them towards young lawyers, but they can be on and are on. If you go to ambar.org/litigation, and you'll see that we have a number of resources, among them podcasts. It's called Sound Advice. There's Sound Advice on internal investigations, on interviewing at firms, on how to prep a witness. There's any number of different topics that are created by some of the best lawyers in the country, which is amazing benefit for our members.
Exactly. We would like to be the resource that if someone's about to do their first deposition while they're working out on the elliptical the night before, they can pull up advice from seasoned lawyers on how to do that and where the pitfalls are.
That's excellent. We have a business model based specifically on that, is that that last little bit of space of time that people have, whether it's doing dishes or they're doing their commute, they're hungry for knowledge, and it's a great time to engage in some educational content while you're doing some other tasks that don't distract. So, well, excellent. So I think I know what Koji's going to say, so I'm going to put a little qualifier on this next question. And so what is your favorite reason for being part of ABA litigation? Can't be networking. It's got to be something else.
Well, I think for me, it's what I've been focused on for the last almost 20 years at the ABA I've been working with the Children's Rights Litigation Committee, and in connection with that and our pro bono task force this year, we've just launched a portal, a website that is called Pro Bono for Immigrant Children. So if you Google ABA Sectional Litigation Pro Bono for Immigrant Children, you'll see a landing page there that's intended to be soup to nuts, give you everything that you need to get started in providing pro bono legal services to children. Please go there. So that, for me, focusing on helping children has been the thing that I've loved the most.
And for me, it's the Judicial Intern Opportunity Program, or JIOP. What that is a program that places diverse and economically disadvantaged law students with judges for an experience during one of the summers while they are in law school with a stipend. And that program has made just such a difference in the lives of so many, because so many of the things that you need to be really successful in the practice, again, are not things you can pick up from the books. You know, it's really understanding how the courts work, how people interact in those circumstances, and to get young lawyers or law students with judges who are going to mentor them can make a difference for a lifetime.
Future programs, so things in the works that aren't currently available but you have your eyes on.
Absolutely. The year that I will chair will be 2019-2020. And May of that year, we will do our section annual meeting in Washington, D.C.
Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah, so May of 2020, you know, it'll just be shortly before that election in November of 2020. So we think there might be something to talk about in D.C. And in any event, we know that we will have programs that will reflect the things we've done at annual conferences before, whether it's attorneys general, whether it's special prosecutors, other government leaders, to bring together the people who are really leading the charge in the legal profession and have those thought leaders available to our members will be special.
This last year we had, think about this, at our just one program, we had a former Attorney General of the United States, a former Solicitor General of the United States, former White House counsel, former Assistant Solicitor General, former Assistant Associate Attorney General of the United States. So, the power of the section of litigation to be able to, that's just one program. I could go on and on about the amazing plenary programs that we put on in San Diego this year. Mm-hmm. And there's really no other association or section within an association that can have multiple programs with amazing star power or amazing practitioners who you might not even know about, but are the thought leaders in a particular area. Well, we've found them, we've ferreted them out, we've brought them to you. But I'm going to channel the chair-elect, who's going to be the chair on Tuesday, on what he's focused on. And he is focused on, among other things, solo and small firm lawyers. Lawyers in the middle of the country and their needs. And his annual meeting is going to be in New York City. It's going to be co-hosted or co-sponsored with the solo and small firm section. And it's going to be an amazing, amazing event. That's also going to be in spring of 2019.
Well, we're running short on time, but before we close it out, I have one more question for you. If our listeners, they want to reach out, they want to learn more about the ABA sectional litigation, how can they find you?
They can find me at my firm, Snell and Wilmer, and you also can find us plus other leaders looking at the section litigation website. We'd welcome you to reach out to any of us and get involved.
So the section litigation website is ambar.org/litigation, or you could just Google me, Koji, Koji, Fukumura, Fukumura.
Excellent. Well, we've reached the end of the road for today's episode, but I want to thank our guests for joining us and also our listeners for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please find and rate us an Apple Podcast. We'll see you next time for another episode of On the Road with Legal Talk Network.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via iTunes and RSS. Find us on Twitter and Facebook, or download our free Legal Talk Network app in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.